Thanks for listening to Better Business, Better Life. I'm your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. We're going to do something a little bit fun now. This podcast, would you believe, has been going since 2020. It started off as a bit of a fun hobby, and now some 5 or 6 years later, we're 260 episodes in and still going strong. Each week I produce a new episode, but I thought it might be fun to bring back some of the old episodes and leave them just exactly as they were. So no tweaks, no edits. So there might be a little bit of poor quality in there, but at least you'll get to see and hear from some of the most amazing business people that I've spoken to over those 5 or 6 years. I really hope you enjoy the episodes, and don't forget, if you ever need any help, just reach out to me. I'm only an email away, deborah@businessaction.com.au or deborah@businessaction.co.nz. Better Business, Better Life, here to help. So, welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. Today, I'm joined by Sam Stubbs, who's one of the founders of Simplicity, which is a not-for-profit KiwiSaver and fund manager that actually gives 15% of their profits or fees to charity. So Sam and I met many years ago at Tower, and I've been following him on his journey ever since then. So welcome to the show, Sam.
Welcome, and I've been following you too.
Thank you. Awesome. Hey, look, I always like to get started by allowing our viewers to get to know the person behind the mic. So would you mind sharing us with Sam a professional and a personal best?
Yeah, look, I think, a personal best is, I think that when you're a parent, you can't help but look at your kids, because that's the unconditional love,
Yep.
And so when I look at my kids, they're not in jail. They're at university and, they're doing okay.
Yeah.
The fact that the kids are doing okay is my personal best.
Fantastic.
Maybe that shows you how low the bar is, but that's the thing I most turn to. But and then on the professional one, I think when you get to be one of the people that gets together an awesome team,
yep.
and when the team's really high functioning, that is, regardless of what they do, the ability to, get together a bunch of talent and help make it really sing is awesome. So that would be the professional best, which is what we're doing right now.
How many are there in the team now, Sam?
There are 22 staff, and there are about 67 volunteers.
Wow.
So it's just awesome to be able to do that, and it's very rewarding. Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about Simplicity and how you sort of came up with the idea and where did it all start from?
Sure. Well, look, I just think it was a midlife crisis. So, I got to about 47, 48, and look, I'd had a very lucky career, very lucky life. And the last job I was working at, which actually is the job you and I, where we met,
yep.
kind of felt, I was looking in the mirror and kind of felt, look, I'm just making other people rich people richer, myself richer, but I'm a Westie. I come from Sunnyvale, and what I was doing wasn't really looking after the people where I came from. And I had 2 school teachers as parents, and they're just amazing set of values. And I was looking at what I was getting paid versus my contribution versus what they were getting paid versus their amazing contribution. And I actually envied them. Mm-hmm. I said, I'd love to have that feeling. So, and then I sort of looked around for things to do, went and planted when the business I was running at Tower got sold. Yep. Went off and planted trees for a year in native trees as a volunteer.
Yep.
And then and did a few other things, and then decided, look, it's time to give back and scale. So what am I good at? The answer was nothing except managing money, other people's money. So got together with a few mates around a pub, blank sheet of paper, said, look, if we could make the biggest difference in New Zealand, what would it be? And that blank sheet of paper, what we wrote down that night is exactly where Simplicity is right now. Okay. So, just good old-fashioned midlife crisis, a couple of people getting together thinking, how do we now work for purpose and love, not profit?
Yeah.
And that's where we are. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. And so then tell me a little bit about the journey. So from that idea, 4 guys at a pub with a piece of paper, how did you actually launch Simplicity? What have been some of the challenges along the way?
Yeah. So the journey's tough, eh? Like you've done it, right? And all these people are like, so first lesson, it ain't easy. Mm-hmm. And because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yep.
And so it's not easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. So, and like most things in life, the most rewarding things in life are the hardest things to do, right? You know, the real sense of achievement there. So, look, I had to have 2 years of planning and cajoling and begging, and we had to get a couple of, in fact, a key regulation change to allow our business model to work in New Zealand.
Okay.
So a lot of lobbying of the government there to get that changed. Basically a very simple thing that just allowed you to transfer KiwiSaver online, as opposed to having to go into a branch or, you know, a signature, which would have been very expensive to effect. So, and then, you know, I just became a professional beggar, basically, just saying, hey, listen, here's the idea. If we don't have any money, you know, I sold the batch to finance the business, and then just asking for everything for nothing, and then enrolling people, I guess, in the vision. And then the other 3 co-founders made it happen. You know, this phrase we have is, I do the talking, they do the walking, right? And so we sort of worked out what we were all good at, and then owned that bit each. And then, you know, Deborah, I don't know, it's kind of chaotic, right? Setting up a bit, there's no formula, there's no book, there's no, you know, and people like yourselves get involved in, and I'm sure your advice is tailored to the circumstances heavily, right?
Yes.
Just very different, you know. There are a few fundamental truths, but only a few.
Yeah. There's some frameworks and some things that you have to sort of abide by, but in reality, every business is different and has different needs.
Yeah. And if you get great people together and you build a framework around them and you just let them thrive, where they can thrive, amazing things happen. But, you know, simplicity is nothing like what we expected it would be. You know, when I say it's nothing like, in that sense, we're achieving exactly what we wanted to achieve, but the journey is all over the place.
Yeah.
Because by definition, if you're a disruptor and you're going into a business with large established players, you've got to be very nimble, right? You've got to turn on a dime, you know, to get visibility, distribution, customers, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so how did you pick the right people? Because that's always a challenge, right?
Yeah. Shit, that's such a great question. I don't know that I've got an answer, other than I looked around, I said, who do I know who's really good? And then, you know, you ask them. I mean, my partner, Amanda, who's a co-founder, she's a fantastic talent spotter as well. So she found some really key people. And then we just went to our friends and said, hey, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but this is what we want to do. Would you like to be on board? And what I've actually found was really interesting is that the pitch was, because we're a non-profit, right, owned by a charity, the pitch was not you're going to get rich. The pitch was, we will pay you fairly and as much as we can afford to pay you, which is fair, but the purpose is amazing. And here's the difference you can make, and a really quantifiable difference. This is how many millions of dollars we could put back in. This is how much we could give to charity. And what I found is that, I mean, just a massive number of people want that in their lives. They actually don't mind. It's not that they want to get paid the most. They just want to be paid fairly. But, you know, going into work has to be more than just getting money, right?
Yep.
And so when you say, here's an opportunity for you to earn a fair amount of money, but have an amazing purpose, and a huge and a scalable difference, a massive difference. You know, we're now saving people, I want to add it up now, but it's almost $90,000 a day in fees, and we're giving away over $5,000 a day to charity now.
Wow, that's awesome.
We've only just started, you know, and so you say, well, you could help make that difference, you know. So
really, really clear on your why, and then attracting people based
why.
on wanting to be part of that. Yeah.
In fact, it was all about the why, how, what, right? So the why was giving people dignity in retirement, giving people dignity in life. The how was giving them choices. And the what we did was make them more money. So more money gives you more choices in life, more choices in life gives you dignity. Yep. And that's how we make every decision.
Fantastic.
Including things that we don't get involved with, by the way. We say no a lot as well, right?
Good. So you're using that why as a sort of a filter, if you like, around what you do and don't get involved in. Yeah.
The absolute anchor. Keeps it very, decision-making is very simple when you know why you're in business. Yeah. Well, some decisions are very simple.
Absolutely. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about being compensated appropriately, I mean, that's absolutely spot on. I mean, it's not necessarily about making millions, but it's about being fairly rewarded, right? Doing what you love with people you love, being compensated appropriately.
Well, we laugh. I had this line because how we hire people is really interesting. It's actually a lesson I learned from the strangest of businesses, Goldman Sachs.
Oh, yeah.
Vampire squid, right? You think it's the most aggressive investment. Actually, it's the most collegial place you could possibly work once you're in. But how you get in is you get interviewed by everybody 2 or 3 times. I had 54 interviews to get in.
Wow.
So how we hire in Simplicity now is everybody interviews the person ideally twice. And so, when they come in, they already know everyone they're working with, and everyone knows them. And we call ourselves a family, so they feel like part of the family. Yep. And everyone has a veto. So they know that when they come on, every single person has voted for them to work there. So they just feel incredibly welcome.
Yep.
And equally, everyone gets to say no, and that's okay. And then we'll go back to it. Also, by the way, it means we hire very slowly. You just hire one person at a time, right?
Yep.
So you don't, because, a lot of businesses think it's kind of like an ego trip to have the biggest office and the most people. That's the definition of success. Yeah. To us, that's the definition of failure, because people are cost, right? But you want to have the right people with the right attitude and give them a fantastic job to do. So you make labor really scarce, you make it hard to get in and hard to hire. And you just get the most incredible people then. I mean, they come on board and it's like their family the day they arrive, and everyone says, hi, hi, hi. They know everybody, they know their kids, it's all that sort of cool. So sorry, I forgot the question there, because you can tell I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, so, no, I can see how passionate. It's wonderful. And I was just asking about sort of how do you make sure you get the right people? Because you need the right people, and you need them in the right seats as well, doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, totally. So we find these people, and then we say, we'll hire your friends.
Right.
So we hire, it's friends of friends. We have never paid $1 to a headhunter. Right. And yet we've got filled every seat with the most wonderful people. So, and then it's just friends. And then we'll ask our members, do you want to come and work, and all that stuff. And we give, the other way to find really good people, I think, is when you give them a passion and a purpose, right? But we give ultimate job flexibility. So we have 6 weeks a year holiday, 10% KiwiSaver, don't care where you work from home, work from the office, total job flexibility. And, people, working mums are the classic example. People come and say, Sam, do you mind if I leave early? I says, I don't care. I says, watch me, I'm going to leave early. You don't have to ask me. I totally trust you. Just go, just do the job however you can. You need to do the job.
Yeah, outcomes focused, right?
But how you do it is entirely your decision. And when you give that, and by the way, as a manager, that's so much less grief, right? I mean, micromanaging sucks if you're micromanaged, but even doing it is hard work too. Yes. Keeping tabs on where everyone is and trying to pretend that it's good or bad, or who cares? Are they getting the job done or not? Right. So finding people is actually quite easy. Likewise with volunteers. I only ever had
you've got 67 volunteers, right?
Yeah, I only ever had one volunteer say no. And what we do with volunteers is they're giving us sort of 1 to 5% of their time. They're lawyers, accountants, PR people.
Yep.
And I don't ask lawyers to do sausage sizzles, right? You ask them in their area of expertise and say, if you could give us this, it will make this much difference, be part of the family. And people just love helping. Most people are really good. Most people are really kind and really generous. Like you're an example, Debbie. You would, if I came along and asked you, could you do this for us? It would be a little bit of your time and your area of, of course you would say yes, right? Yep. You're that sort of person. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like that. So a lot of people want to have purpose and meaning in their lives.
Yeah.
And if they have skills, and bear in mind, of course, when you ask someone to volunteer, it takes 1/10 of the time as a volunteer than it does as a paid person. Mm-hmm. So because when you're a volunteer, you're just very efficient about how you get the stuff done, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a legal contract, it doesn't get drafted from get-go. It's just find and replaced, right? Someone else's contract. So getting those, and those volunteers are great because they get to feel part of the family, and so it's and that means that we're a very word-of-mouth organisation. We have an advertising budget. In fact, we've just done our first sort of proper ads, but we spend 1/10 of what our industry spends on marketing and sales. It's just all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because we're an infinite company, right? We're owned by a charity as a non-profit. That means we will never make any money. Mm-hmm. That means we'll never be worth any money. And that means we'll never be bought or sold. We're going to be here forever. Yeah. So when you're going to be here forever, you don't have to do anything in a hurry. You just have to do it right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in line with what you stand for, which is great.
Totally.
So what challenges have you had then, Sam?
Oh, heaps.
Share some with us. Because people love to hear from other people, right? Because we get taught in uni that businesses grow in that beautiful hockey stick thing, and it doesn't often happen like that.
No, not at all. I've never seen I've seen meteors, and I've never seen a proper hockey stick. Look, I think in our organisation, scarcity is necessity is a mother of invention, right? And scarcity of capital, scarcity of money means we've had to ask for a whole lot of things for free that people could reasonably otherwise get and pay for, right? So that's hard, man. I mean, so constantly, it's exhausting getting people to do these things, asking people to do things for you.
Yep.
As rewarding as it is. So that's been one of the challenges. Second one is that, we operate in the financial services industry. I mean, these are the biggest, richest companies in the country.
Yep.
So if they want to squash you, they've got a lot of money and a lot of grunt to try and squash you, right? So you've got to be very nimble, very nimble. I think that and also, there's sort of advice for anyone setting up a business. You'll be paranoid about cash flow and what you spend money on.
Yeah.
Utterly paranoid.
Yeah.
Spend every dollar like it's your last dollar.
Yeah. I think it's one of the advantages I actually had at Tower when I came and worked at Tower. I'd run my own businesses before. And so when I went in there to look after the marketing team and the marketing budget, I was looking at going, well, hold on a second. Why are we spending this money? Is it bringing us a return on investment?
Yeah.
Because I treated it just like it was my own business. And I think that's carried on, obviously, throughout everything I do.
You know what? That's interesting that you and Elon Musk share a very similar philosophy there. Like you think about, it's incredible how SpaceX is just leaping ahead of everybody.
Yeah,
and he said one of the keys to that is every issue is an individual's issue, not a team's issue. Because if you give it to a team, then it just gets lost. No one knows who in that team asked for that, who thought it was a requirement.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get to an individual, then the individual has to own it. It has to be a problem raised by an individual and a solution by an individual, because if the individual leaves, maybe the problem goes away too.
It is interesting because we talk about, issues in business, and that's part of the EOS model that I teach, is how do you actually resolve those issues once and for all? And it comes down to having accountability, knowing who's responsible for what, and people actually taking personal responsibility to get things done.
Absolutely.
And when you have that, it makes it easy. Yeah.
And it does, eh? So that's what I do. I mean, ostensibly I'm the boss, but really all I see is mine is just a resource allocation exercise and giving it to fantastic people to own. And they want to own these things, right? The right sort of person wants it to be their thing.
Yep.
Wants it to be their baby, and they respond to that very well, because it's fundamentally a relationship of trust, right? Mm-hmm. This thing about micromanagement, time watching, clock watching is where people, that's just about, in fact, you and I, when you and I came from the insurance industry, right? Yes. An insurance contract is fundamentally a contract of no trust. Mm-hmm. We, the insurance company, are going to give you a 50-page document full of exemptions because we don't trust you, and you are going to screw us on price and always get the lowest price because you don't trust us.
Yep.
No trust there, right?
Yeah.
And an insurance company, if it has $1, it has to pay the claim or pay the shareholder. Mm-hmm. Pay the claim, pay the shareholder. Can't invent new money, right? So you're always going to have to. So, there's always that tension. So the tension, and the finance industry is full of mistrust.
Yeah.
People don't trust each other. And organizations, the organizations that fail, remember, we invest in thousands of them, right? Fundamentally, the organizations that make the most money and are the most successful are the most human organizations with the most trust of individuals within the individuals.
Yeah, we talk about healthy teams. It's really interesting. My husband actually works for Partners Life, which is actually quite a different insurance model from what I've seen and what he's talked about, in terms of they are not as old-fashioned as the Towers of the world and those insurance companies. They're very much a human company, and they're very much about trying to make sure they can pay you rather than not, trying not to pay you. So again, I think it comes down to the leader, and it comes down to their purpose, their passion, what they're instilling in their team. Yeah.
And if you charge a high fee or a high price, then you've got more wiggle room there, right, to do that. Yeah. So, and you can, that's the that's the deal, and that's the product you offer, and that's the understanding that you have. That's really good. We have a particular challenge because we charge the lowest fee by far, and yet we still try to maintain that, right? So can you provide the best service at the lowest price? And we do, actually.
So tell me how that works a little bit without giving away the secret sauce.
Yeah, look, I think, it's interesting, customer services. I think there are three really cool things that we do. Yep. None of which, by the way, are all attributable to me. It's what the teams do. The first is that we're called simplicity. So we keep things really simple. Simple products, easy to understand stuff. I think there is a tremendous desire in all organizations to create the new, right? That's why and I sort of apologize, I'm going to get in trouble with you here. That's why we don't have a marketing department, because a marketing department has to create new ideas all the time. That's what they do. They're in the business of, generating work. Whereas if you have an idea that works, just run it till it stops working. Yeah. So we keep it really simple. Simple products, simple to easy understand. One fee for all products. Really simple products. 1 minute 44 seconds to sign up. Simple. Yep. Because actually people have very complex lives, and in any one decision that they are making, they have 1/100th of the bandwidth as a customer that you have as an internal person who does it for a job and a living to spend about thinking about buying this product.
Yep.
So I think that 99.9% of products out there are too complex, invented by people who were in job justification mode.
Yep.
Really cool people, really nice people, but internally you just create too much complexity. That's the first thing. Second thing is huge reliance on technology and automation. So if we can get you to do it online easily, we absolutely do that. So it's constant Kaizen. Once again, no new ideas. Yep. Why is a Toyota so bloody reliable? It's because for 50 years they've been improving their processes, right? And keeping it efficient. So we're just constant focus on that. That's the second thing. And automation is your enemy or your friend. We make it the customer's friend. And the third thing is whenever you have to talk to somebody, here, the people that you're talking to are the absolute best. They're senior, they know what they're doing, they will call you, they'll resolve the problem. And that means, in fact, in our business, we have, the 22 people, but the customer services team are right in the middle of the business.
Right.
Everyone hears what they're doing.
Yep.
Everyone is close to them. So, we get a lot of IT development, which is just done because customer service person leans over and says, hey, can you just change that field? You know what you have to go through at Tower there, right? 15 sign-offs in 9 months and squillions of dollars. Just make it instant, very fit. So if you keep the business proposition and the product very simple, constantly improving it and making it even simpler and easier to use from a customer point of view, but when they need service, they get fantastic service. So for example, with a call center, we don't have a dial in and we'll keep you waiting. That's basically, if you keep somebody waiting, the old owl with Tower, what you're saying is that your concern is of insufficient importance to us for us to create a circumstance whereby we'll get to you when you want to speak to us. So what we say is, please just give us a number and a time to call and we'll call you back. Okay. Which means that you're not wasting your time. I mean, look, if you had a call waiting service that had vintage champagne served by male and female supermodels and a stand-up comedian, it might be an okay experience. You might want to be there, but otherwise you hate it, right? So why would you do that? Just give us your number, we'll call you back, and the person who calls you back, it'll be a fantastic experience. So we have customer resolution 99% of the time, and we win every customer service award.
And it's a false, you talked about having senior staff, and it's a false economy often, isn't it, to have junior staff because it will save the business money. It can actually end up costing an absolute fortune because they don't have the experience. They don't have the ability and the technical expertise to actually help resolve issues. You
don't save money. They're value destroying.
Yes.
If you have a bad customer experience with a human being, remember, they represent the brand. They're the person you talk to. No matter how good your marketing story is, your advertisement is, the person you're talking to who is solving the issue that you have ain't good, well, good luck. This is why all of these decisions made to outsource call centers to other countries and overseas with, and all of these things are driven from a cost perspective.
Yeah, not an experience perspective.
Not a customer's experience. That's just so stupid.
And we're actually on the same page, Sam. My version of marketing is not about advertising promotion. It's about really understanding what your customer really wants and delivering that in a commercial environment that, works for both parties. So, and the simplicity thing, my tagline has always been the brilliance is in the simplicity. If we can just simplify things down, we as humans tend to overcomplicate things. Corporates are the worst for it, but even individuals can do it. Yeah.
And simplicity is hard.
Yep. Yeah.
It's hard to achieve because you've got to put yourself in the minds of the customer all the time and say, why? Why would you do that? Why are you doing that? Why are we asking you to do that? What does that really mean? Because internally, I'll give you a classic example. Like when you do an enrollment form for anything, the best ones are one page.
Yep.
And they are distinguished not by the information they give you, but the information they don't ask you for.
Right.
Because internally, it's always easy. I'll just take that one. It would be really useful to get that data point. The board would like to see that on a report, all that sort of thing. I don't know if you've seen that great thing going around. It's a guy who wrote to, I think, the Australian Ministry of Foreign Affairs about the form he had to fill out. He said, why the fuck are you asking me for my birth date? I've filled this out 15 times. Yep. You know my name. You know when I was born. It's on the tax records. Why are you asking me where I was born? What does that mean? You know that already, as a government. It's been to you as a government, right? Now, you can imagine how that form was done. So simplicity is really hard because you've got to say no, savagely no. No, I realize you might like that information, but every single time we're asking someone to fill it out is, detracts from simplicity.
Fair enough. So in terms of growth, it's often easier when you are a smaller organization, although you've got quite a number of people you're looking after. But in terms of growth for simplicity, how will you continue to keep it simple?
A really good question, because you get pushed into complexity all the time, don't you? Yeah. Well, I think that, it's interesting. We have a fantastic business model. Being a social enterprise and a non-profit means a couple of things. When you make more money, when you grow and you get more cash flow in, most businesses are encouraged to try new things or supercharge what they are doing. But as a general rule, it funds innovation, right? That sounds lovely, doesn't it? But often innovation is just new stuff that you want to sell your existing customers, which complicates the relationship you're having with them. We're saying, I know you thought about us as being this, but now I want you to think about us as being this and this and this and this, right? So that's the temptation when you grow. When you're a non-profit and a social enterprise, what you're saying is, how do we make people richer? Well, if it involves this, yes. But if it doesn't, no. In fact, what we'll do is we'll use that money just to lower fees, or we'll pay more to charity. So we have more options. I think also when you're a social enterprise, the fact that none of us get paid any bonuses, there's no incentive to make more money out of the customers. There's only incentive to make money for the customers, means we go down a completely different mindset. So we look at, so Jeff Bezos from Amazon has this great phrase. I mean, I'm not a particular fan of Jeff Bezos, but he has this great phrase, your margin is our opportunity, right? So when I look at the financial services industry, as you well know, there are huge margin everywhere, right? So there's heaps of opportunities there, and so we will provide additional products, and we do, like mortgages and so on. But we're not growth for a growth's sake. We're not incentivized by growing the top line at all. We're incentivized by making more money for members. Very different mindset. Much easier way to operate a business, by the way, and much more authentic.
Beautiful. Hey, look, I've really enjoyed learning a lot more, but I had no idea you're a Westie for a start. So I've learned lots of fascinating things today, and hearing how simplicity works has been really good. Before we go away and shoot off, can you just give me perhaps 3 quick tips that you would give to anybody who's either starting out in a business or who's got a business kind of hit the ceiling and feels like they can't grow beyond that? What would you say would be the 3 top tips you'd give?
I'd say never hire anyone that you wouldn't give your kids to look after. that you wouldn't get to look after your kids.
Yeah.
That means, I mean, you've got to trust and love the people you work with.
Yep.
So great businesses are just an idea, money, and people. The ideas are everywhere on smartphones. The money's everywhere now. There's more money. People make businesses. So that's the first thing. Be incredibly careful about how you hire.
Yep.
Because your biggest mistakes will be hiring the wrong people for sure. That'd be the first thing. Second one is I think we just mentioned, be paranoid about cash flow. Yeah. Treat every dollar like it's your last dollar. And the third thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask for the earth, because all people can say is no.
Yeah. Don't
be afraid to ask you, because and appeal to people. And New Zealanders are terrible at this, Deborah. We've inherited this from you lot, from the English. Yeah. This English middle class reticence about asking, we need a little bit more American or Australian chutzpah. Don't be afraid to ask for something. Yeah. Because you'll be surprised how many people want you to succeed. Yeah. Most people will want you to succeed.
It's really interesting. My father always taught me that. I mean, he's British, but he'd say to me, you just need to ask. The worst they can do is say no. And what difference does that make? And also, I think that people forget. I always challenge people. I go, when you help somebody, how does it make you feel? And they go, I feel amazing. I feel great. It's like, so why would you deny somebody else that feeling? You could help them, or you could allow them to help you, and they'll get that feeling, which is great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. So you're quintessentially un-British in that example. You've got a lot of chutzpah for a pom, but it's sort of it's the I'm half English too, by the way. So but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. People love helping. I mean, what amazes me is with all of these volunteers we have, some of them, like we have a volunteer, Chris, who runs our charity. This guy would walk over broken glass for simplicity. He probably puts in 40 hours a week. And he does it purely for the love of doing it. You would never think in a million years to ask somebody to do that, but that's what he does. And he's utterly amazing. And so it's incredible the satisfaction that people get from help. You're right, from helping and just feeling useful, feeling like they're making a contribution.
Making a significant difference. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, just making a difference. And so we're just appealing to people's better angels in that regard, and it seems to be working. And by the way, our members, we just have an army of people who recommend us to their friends, which is fantastic.
Hey, I actually signed up a few months ago with you, and it was really easy. So just a little bit of a plug there. Cool. So if somebody wants two things, if somebody wants to sign up to Simplicity, what do they do?
Sure. Just go to simplicity.kiwi.
Yep. Perfect. And if they wanted to have a chat to you?
1 minute, 44 seconds. And my phone number is 021 491 547. Give me a call.
Wonderful. Hey, how many seconds do you say it takes to fill out the form? 1
minute, 44 seconds on average, and going down as we kaizen and improve it. And we do non-KiwiSaver funds as well. And we now do first home mortgages. We're got the cheapest first home mortgage in the country as well. For members, we're a member-led organisation. Once you join in any form, then you get everything available to you, and everybody always pays the same. It's really simple.
Oh, I love it. Really hey, look, thank you so much for your time, your generosity and sharing, and for making a difference in people's lives, helping people get wealthier. I think that's really, really important. So
thank you too, because I know you're helping an awful lot of organizations get, better and bigger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Hey, Sam, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, see ya. Thanks, Deborah. Bye.